Welcome to Beth's Naughty Reads. I'm Beth Lamontagne, and I hope all you little smut gremlins are ready to get naughty as we jump into L.J. Andrews' Broken Kingdom series. Before I get into the book, just want to remind you guys to follow me on the socials. You know where to find me. You can find me on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook under Beth's Naughty Reads. You can also, if you will, subscribe to the YouTube channel so that way you get notified when I release my next episodes. Tonight, like I mentioned, we are going to be discussing L.J. Andrews' Broken Kingdom series. Here we have LJ here. She is a USA Today best-selling author, and she writes fantasy romance. That's what she's well known for. So we're going to go ahead and get into this Broken Kingdom series by starting off with the first three books, which are called the Northern Kingdom trilogy. The series overall is 9 books, but don't get scared. She did it really well. So each fourth book is a new storyline with characters and adventures that we all meet in the first 3 books. So you aren't going to be lost if you read 1 and 3 and then take a break. Read 4 through 6, take a break. It's probably recommended because it is a very I got really into it. Like I got nervous and anxious and sweaty and cried for these characters. It's quite the epic journey. So let's first talk about the 3 books that are in this series. So it's Curse of Shadow and Thorns. One of my favorite things before we go on to the next title is that in each of the books, she does almost like fiction art, if you will, just in the very beginning that shows you the characters. So this is what the characters look in book 1. Which is the Curse of Shadow and Thorns, book 2, Court of Ice and Ash. And this is the picture for that. And you can kind of start to see the changes and the transgressions. No, the changes. We'll just go with that each character is making as they continue through this journey. The third book is Blood of Crown and Ruin. And this is, as you can tell, these are the same 2 characters. They just now are badasses, basically. So it is a journey. It's an epic journey of Viking-inspired fantasy with dark fairy tale romance. So if you like those kind of epic journeys and also those Cinderella remakes, this is probably a book for you. So we'll go ahead and start with talking about the Curse of Shadow and Thorns. Let's see. So at the beginning of this series, we meet Elise Lysander. She is basically a spare heir, if you will. Her sister is set to be the queen by marrying the current queen's son, who is her cousin. So she is set to marry her cousin and be the future queen. Elise is she's kind of stuck between a rock and a hard spot because basically the way the current reign got into the crown is by a coup. They murdered the family that was currently over the land and they took over, and now they are trying to get rid of magic. And Elise really feels like regardless of what race you are, and by race I mean no matter where you fall in fae kind of magic, human, no magic, she really feels that everybody should be able to live together peacefully in harmony on the land. Her family's not crazy about that thought, right? Because they are the current rule and they want what they want. So the king does force Elise into marriage and uses her dad kind of as the catalyst because he is sick. And if she wants the medicine and the cure to continue, this is what her uncle wants from her. So this is when we meet Legend Gray. I mean, a name like that, he just sounds hot. Like you could just imagine him being smoking hot. He is the dowry negotiator, and he is to work with Elise to determine who, out of all the suitors that drop their names in the hat, who she wants to marry. I can tell you, of the suitors, none of them sounded inviting. I mean, they all just sounded awful and gross and old. But as we go through this journey of trying to find out who she's going to marry, Elise and Legend get really close, and you can begin to kind of see that romance simmering with them. Even though they're trying both really hard to fight it, you can see that it's starting to begin. You also begin to learn that nothing is as it seems. So what you come in thinking is happening, everything starts to change. This book includes coops, seers, monsters, and curses. And it just kind of builds all this together as it goes then on to the second book, Court of Ice and Ash. Now, in this book, like I mentioned, things are not as they seem in the first book. You really begin to uncover everyone's true identity in the second book. You find out that there are princes who didn't know there were princes, and royal families who we thought were dead and aren't dead. It's also a denial, like Legend is really trying to deny his fated love with Elise, because he really feels like she'd be better off and safer without him in her life. Along the way, like I said, they discover undead family members and how they can begin to bring their family back together. And he finally pulls his head out of his ass and embraces the love that he has for Elise. And so that's really where we kind of end the second book as we go into the Crown of Blood and Ruin. Now, this is the third and final book in the Northern Kingdom series. So Elise and Legend. And Elise now is considered a traitor to her family, because remember, she's the bleeding heart. She wants everybody to get along, and her family, they do not feel that way. If you have magic, you are only good for one thing, and that is for them to figure out how they can take over your magic and then kill you. If they can't figure it out, then they call them serfs, which they make basically indentured slaves to anyone who has magic to work for them. But however, even though she's considered a traitor, there is something desperate from her family about getting her back. We don't know why. We don't understand why they need to, like, they offer, if they surrender and she comes home, they'll let people live. And they basically give them the middle finger and say, no, we're tired of your rule. We're going to fight for what we want to fight for. So secrets start surfacing. You start seeing some dark magic being willed. The bad guys have dark magic that no one knows about or understands. There's a rescue. Like I said, Legion finds his brother who he thought was long dead. It's a rescue of how they can get him back and out of the evil grips of the king. There's also prophecy. So there's a prophecy that is guarded by the ruthless sister, who doesn't let in on why she wants Elise so badly until you learn about this prophecy, and then things begin to come to light. There is definitely, at the beginning of this book, war is happening. It is on the horizon, if not already going on. So it does have quite the battle. It's good versus evil. It's, fighting for the people you love and to get back to the love of your life. And so I really enjoyed all three books. I'm going to share a few quotes. Not as many as usual, because there's a lot of books. So the first quote comes from The Curse of Shadow and Thorns. This is Elise talking to Legend. And this quote shows her spunkiness. So she says, "The only hands I consider capable are my own." Legion lifted one brow and a playful gleam in his eyes. He said, but you have never experienced what mine can do to you. I think what he really meant is for you, but he says to you because, that romance is starting. But it really just showed that she's like, I'm not going to listen to anyone. I'm going to be who I need to be when I need to be it. Also from the same book, Legion to Elise, and this is getting towards the end where that romance is really starting to blossom. He says, "I ask how I am to give you to some fool because I don't know how. How am I to accomplish anything I set out to do here when my heart burns to have you for myself?" Oh, swoon. It was so, at that point, I was like, oh, don't cry. It's sweet. But I will tell you the one thing that I as I was writing this, I was like, oh, not as it seems, or how am I to do what I set out to do here? Because what is really happening isn't what he set out to do. And so you just got to kind of read the book to understand that. A quote from Court of Ice and Ash. It's Legion to his friends. So he's got his two best friends with him. And he said, "Never did I anticipate such an infuriating, foolhardy, beautiful creature take command of my every decision. I tried to keep a fair distance, tried to keep aloof, and I still crack at the slightest thought of harm befalling her. She did not have fury, but she might as well have. Elise Lancer has cast a spell over me, one I could not break." Ah, finally. And from the last book, Crown of Blood and Ruin, And this is really happening when the battle is really starting to get heavy and thick. And it's a quote that says, "Through the blood of the heirs from the bond you shattered, you will the tomb of fury reopen. On that day, one queen rises to end another, and at the fall of the second will your kingdom at last be." So it kind of leads back to the a little bit into the prophecy that the wicked sister has. And it showcases how things, should fall out if possible. Give me 1 second while I grab my iPad because wonderful technology did not bring over my quotes. So give me 1 second and I will read those to you. So I have three quotes. So the first one, I think you have, Greg, is from Michaela. Captivating and so well written. Okay, guys, I really like this book. She gave 4 out of 5 stars. First things first, this book can be interested throughout the entirety, even sections where we're not wrapped up in action, mystery, thrill. I was never bored or felt like, hey, this is a bit slow, which I really love because I feel like that can be difficult to find. We've all read those books where we're like, oh my gosh, quit with the extra words, right? Elise, the female character, is strong, intelligent, rebellious, and thank the gods, emotionally and mentally mature, in all capitals. I also love that she is real and human with a healthy dose of natural fear, but still faces those fears and is brave in the face of immortality. I felt connected to her from the jump. The next one I have is for the second book of Court of Ice and Ash, and this is from Noor. She says, if I could give more stars, I would. Epic end to the first part of this amazing saga. I thoroughly, wait, I jumped one. Sorry. Rolander. Thank you. I think you have the right one up there, right? Yes. Sorry. I was like, third book. We're not there yet. Can't get enough. LJ Andrews delivers another gripping installment with a Court of Ice and Ash packed with tension, action, and a world that feels more dangerous and immersive than ever. From the very first page, the stakes are high, and Andrews doesn't hold back on the political intrigue, shifting alliances, and ever-present threats. Now the third one from Noor. If I could give more stars, I would. Epic end to the first part of this amazing saga. I thoroughly enjoyed the third and final story of Valen and Elise in this amazing saga. The final installment in the trilogy was filled with epic adventures, gruesome battles, mysterious prophecies and curses, and unlikely allies, and an unpredicted twist and welcome surprise. So people really liked it. As you can see from these quotes, these are just one of many. What I would recommend is when you take a look at it, take a look at some of these quotes so that you can see what people feel about it. On my spice scale, I would give this 2 out of 5. It's a great story, journey, fantasy. It's more about that journey than it is the journey and the deep love than it is sexuality. I will say that LJ has updated the ebooks to include more spice. And at this time, the ebooks are only version that has that extra edit in it. And so if some people read the book and listen, they're going to be a little different, but it shouldn't throw you off too much. I would definitely recommend these 3 books for your summer TBR list. These will keep you intrigued and interested. There was never a dull moment. I stopped one. I started the next one like minutes later. So they are really good. And as for my next show, the next book I will review is called Sovereign. It's a dual POV age gap and a high heat cowboy romance. This was recommended by my friend Candace Horbex. You can find Candace, who does her own podcast, Chat with Candace. She just talks practical things about family and life, and she read this book and swore by it. So I thought I would give it a try. And thank you, Candace, for the rec. I'm excited to read it, and I will let you guys know what I think about it next week. It was good hanging with you guys. Oh, yes. Sorry. If you guys heard me at the very beginning, I called you guys my little gremlins or what? Smut gremlins. My husband had a little fun today and put together this AI version of a gremlin reading a spicy novel. And so that's where Smut Gremlins came from. I hope you guys have a great rest of the week. And if you read this, I enjoy it. Share your comments, your thoughts, any book recommendations. I would love to hear them. And I hope you guys have a great day. Love you. Bye.